welcome back to FantasyScope, where we dive into the latest news, theories, and deep dive breakdowns across fantasy entertainment. Newly discussed, unreleased chapter snippets from George R.R. Martin have resurfaced, reigniting speculation about how this saga truly ends. So today, we're cracking open those whispers from the long winter. We will be separating what's real, what's rumor, and what these glimpses reveal about the fate of Westeros. Quick disclaimer before we dive in, nothing here is official, just my own research and opinions. Some of this might spoil too much for you, so consider this your heads up. And as always, interpretations vary, so drop your theories in the comments. Half the fun is hearing your take. It's been over a decade since A Dance with Dragons, and the wait for the winds of winter has become pretty quiet in my opinion. But every note from Martin's blog, every panel quote, every leaked line sets fandom ablaze. The latest buzz began at the New York Comic Con in 2025 when Martin confirmed he's still working on the book. According to media outlets at NYCC, he stated, "I know there's all this controversy about Winds of Winter and how late it is, but I've always had trouble with deadlines. I'm still working on it." Instantly reviving old transcripts, sample chapter mirrors, and forum excerpts. But here's the first fact. From what we can document, Martin has officially released 7 sample chapters or excerpts of The Winds of Winter. Example, the Arianne I excerpt opens with, 100 years ago, Daenerys Targaryen came to Dorne to make a peace. Now another comes to make a war, the Hawk. That sentence alone frames a shift. Dorne is no longer settling peace, but preparing war. These official snippets matter. They give us what Martin himself is allowing us to see. Anything beyond that falls into could be, might be, unverified. And that's where the real intrigue lies. Let's dig into the data. From the index of released sample chapters, Arianne I II, Theon Y, Elaine, Sansa Y, Mercy, Arya Y, Tyrion I and II, Barristan I and II. Here's a second quote from the Tyrion I sample. "I was just recalling my first battle, the Green Fork. When I saw my father's host deploy, I remember thinking how beautiful it was, like a flower opening its petals to the sun." This shows Martin revisiting the early Lannister fanfare only to subvert it. Tyrion's innocence meets horror in those words. Analysis, these official texts show key themes emerging. Dorne preparing for war, Arianne. Tyrion's strategic repositioning beyond exile, the North and the others steadily creeping into the picture. Martin has confirmed the book will take us farther north than ever. Prediction. From these confirmed pieces, I believe The Winds of Winter will open with parallel wars, one in the north and one in Essos, Westeros, rather than a singular climactic battle. These fragments already hint at the full chaos to come. Now we move into the gray zone and take The Forsaken. Aaron, why say? Martin read this at Balticon 2016, but it was never posted on his website. Fan transcripts exist. One fan summary says, "We are at least persistent, you must admit, and some of those defeats were near things race for the Iron Throne." That's the Golden Company talking about repeated invasions. If real, this reading places Dorne's war and Essos's Golden Company in sharper focus, proving that the side plots we assumed were secondary are actually major. Personal theory, I believe at least part of these transcripts are authentic or derived from early drafts. For example, if Martin's statement that things will get worse before they get better is true, and he said something along those lines in 2016, then seeing war victory talk in snippet form fits that darker pivot. One of these semi-release fragments will surface formally. When it does, expect the narrative to move our attention firmly from the Iron Throne into the cold beyond the wall, shifting from claimants to cosmic stakes. Let's take 3 major players. Jon Snow, no official preview yet, but multiple discussion entries online highlight a leaked phrase, "The cold was waiting." While unverified, it aligns with Martin's confirmed comments that the North is going to be darker than ever. Analysis: Jon might return not just as hero, but as something other. Jon's arc and wins will show him transform post-resurrection. Less stark leader, more embodiment of what the ice brings. Daenerys Targaryen, we do have texts where Tyrion watches dragon banners rise, Tyrion, one sample. In Arianne I, we read, 100 years ago, Daenerys Targaryen came to Dorne to make a peace. Now another comes to make a war, the Hawk. Meaning, Daenerys is framed as the war maker. Analysis: her trajectory appears less about liberating, more about commanding and disrupting. Prediction: Dany may start as liberator, but will end as something other. Perhaps a queen in name only, overshadowed by larger forces. Tyrion Lannister, the Tyrionos excerpt shows him reflecting on war like a Sivas board, repositioning himself in war thought rather than wine. Analysis: Tyrion is not sidelined, he's central, his intellect becomes his power. Prediction: Tyrion may become the key strategist of this story, influencing events even if dragons or ice dominate them. He may end up the single human who navigates the chaos rather than just reacting. Now we zoom out to the larger stage. One key prophecy, the Valonqar, an unverified line teased in fandom, little brother no more. Whether authentic or not, it plays heavily with Martin's style of twisting prophecies. Analysis: a prophecy fulfilled might not be literal. The Valonqar could be a metaphor for power shift, not a kill shot. The others, Martin has confirmed that the Winds of Winter will take readers farther north than ever and feature the others. Analysis: they aren't just a final fight, they're part of the fabric of the world's change. Prediction: the Great War at the end may not be humans versus others, but men becoming the others or merging with that power. Let's look at how all of this affects what fans think they know. Confirmed theory: Dorne's bigger role, supported by Arianne samples. Shattered theory: Daenerys as purely heroic. The war language in the excerpts suggests a darker turn. The Iron Throne has always been a symbol, order forged from fire. But in every confirmed chapter, we see that order unraveling. Nobles turning to forgotten gods, queens losing their armies, and the cold spreading where politics once ruled. Maybe the final revelation isn't about succession at all. Maybe the Song of Ice and Fire ends when politics gives way to myth, when crowns mean nothing and only survival matters. Every preview chapter points toward collapse rather than coronation. Dragons losing control, noble houses fracturing, magic resurging through drowned gods and frozen dead. By the time the Winds of Winter ends, Westeros might not crown a ruler at all. It could revert to what it was before Aegon's conquest, a patchwork of warring kingdoms, or worse, a land ruled by elemental powers instead of politics. The Game of Thrones doesn't end with victory. It dissolves because the board itself burns and freezes at the same time. Martin's world has always been cyclical. Dragons rise, dragons fall, faith replaces reason, then reason crumbles into myth again. The coming twist isn't a single usurper, it's the end of centralized power itself. The Winds of Winter seems poised to erase the very concept of a unified realm, returning Westeros to its natural state, fragmented, primal, ruled by belief and fear rather than banners. The throne won't be seized, it will become irrelevant. Until then, every leak, every rumor, every piece of mirrored text is part of the puzzle. It's fun to piece these worlds together as a community, so add your thoughts in the comments. What details or theories are you seeing that I missed? Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next breaking Game of Thrones book news. I cover the latest fantasy news, leaks, and story theories across the worlds readers love most. I'll see you in the next one.